Okay, so this is the first of many fun recordings of trainings and tools that the amazing people in my life are carrying and are willing and happy and designed to share. And Santiago, I would say, is like really at the top of that list. Santiago, you are a wealth of information. You are my little angelic walking encyclopedia. And we were recently having a conversation about the way that the universe is communicating to us through sound, and that each of us has these really specific tones and I believe you said syllables. Is it syllables?
Mm-hmm.
Right? That are patterns in our lives and they mean something. And I thought this conversation was just so incredibly magical that I couldn't imagine not sharing it with everybody that I know. So I asked Santiago to do a little introductory class on these sounds of the universe, and here we are. So Santiago, you want to tell everybody just a little bit about yourself so that they know who you are?
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, Aitza. I am humbled and honored to be here sharing these teachings and many of the lessons, experiences, and wisdom that we have been sharing along the path. I'm Santiago Rafael. I have been channeling maybe unconsciously this information, or like starting to have glimpses of these messages of the universe, like this communication for yes 8 years that I kind of there's something bigger there's something bigger in this whole scenario. And then I started following those signs. I started following into as if it was a lighthouse that led me to a more ignited way of being, ignited beingness. So I loved our conversation because we were doing it while you were doing the transition of name.
Yeah.
That is a very powerful moment that all initiates have.
Yeah.
It's a master initiatic ritual or rite to change our name, and not because it's an initiatic ritual we have to do it, like that's the ego likes to follow, so I realized that there's a lot of power when it's done initiatically. So you were working and honing it, the vibration of your name. And I have been studying with my initiatic mentor about the sounds of the universe and the revelations I had while learning to listen deeply. All of these vibrations that we are in, this vibration that are trying to incarnate, or like all the time they're interweaving our reality. So when I started deepening my listening, that's a training we have and we can have all our life. I started like watching the reality with a different framework, like the Matrix. The Matrix, that you can read the lines of the Matrix. That movie, I think, is a clear example of when you can read the lines of information that is creating the reality. And that's when we start tuning and training the divine intelligence that we have. Because by etymology, to enter a little bit on the etymology of the meaning of words, intelligence comes from the Greek, that is interligie, or intellect as well. Inter, in between, lines, ligia.
In between the lines.
So between the lines, we can intellect, we can read, or intellect, we can read and choose. So being able to read between the lines and choose between this information that is being shown to us all the time is a very powerful device of awareness.
Yeah. It's interesting. You know, I have to be honest, I wish I could say that I was aware that I was going through an initiation by changing my name. But if I'm being perfectly honest, I wasn't fully aware that that's what was happening. And you were actually the person, very interestingly, and this is why this is so interesting that it all comes back with you, is I knew my download, my piece was Isa because of my name Elizabeth. Long story, it's not about me, so I'll move on. But when I had my first session with you, my first Akashic reading, one of my 8 questions was, is my soul's name Isa? Because I keep getting this name. And you came back and you said, no, it's Aitza. And you gave me 2 more words. And you said, this is the full name, but the nickname is Isa. So I went by Isa for a year, kind of. Tried it on like a shoe. Didn't feel right. And it felt like I wasn't moving into my full power, right? It was, I was holding myself back because I thought that it was too strange of a name. Now, but it really resonated as true. I just wasn't ready to take that step. So I sat with it for a long time and I did the enerology on it and the numerology and I went so deep on it, but at the end I just took a leap of faith. And based on the teachings of Greg Tiffin, I understood the importance of the name and it had to match my timing cycle. There's so much to this, the numbers, the letters, the sounds, you know, it's like it all interrelates. So I took the leap of faith and I did it. And it was on that conversation with you, the way we started this whole thing was you broke down my new name. And you actually you gave me the understanding of why I had to take the leap before I knew why, you know? And then you told me later that you were reminded that it was a part of an initiation, that the person changes their name. And it's just like, you gave me so much reassurance. So thank you for that. Seriously, thank you for that.
It's a pleasure. And I know it's a big step to do. And it can take a while to fit in because as well, we are coming with some baggage as well. And that's many of the spiritual teachers and people that get a different name. Even myself, I did it with myself that I was like before just Santiago. And then I said, no, I have to include parts of my name that it's not my full name. It's Rafael, I have to include it. And why is Rafael? And then I study the why and what's the capacities of Rafael. And when I anointed myself with the full name, even that isn't comfortable, no, it's Santiago Rafael. And I present myself all the time, Santiago Rafael. And it was like, oh, that's too traditional, you know, like sometimes in my country, it's like double name, you know, it's like, yeah, you know, I had to go across those situations. And then my healing capacities came, like my healing capacities exponentially grew because of doing that transcarnation that is called. So it's like, as we are vibration trying to, and it's not trying, all the time being impregnated into matter, incarnated, when we match it and we allow it, also in the timings, we are resounding more harmoniously, you know, like we are like this,
we're tuned.
We have all the tones of our being.
We're tuned like an instrument. I wanted to say something interesting about the name change and then we can move on. Like I had a lot of my friends, especially my friends from before, from like childhood and prior to the big shift that started to occur like 4 years ago. I mean, I've been on the path for a long time before that, but the big, like, no, I'm committing to this. Ever since that, everyone prior has had a very hard time. I've been mocked. I've been, you know, all of these things. And even my mother said, I'm sorry, I'll never call you that. You know, you're Haley to me. And I said this to someone the other day, and she said, that's good, because she's Haley's mother. She's not Aitza's mother. And I was like, boom, yes, yes. And that's just the way it is. And it's like, you can take it or leave it. I'm very chill about the transition. Even I have a hard time sometimes, but I can definitely feel a marked difference in that change and that shift, and even putting it through the world systems. You know what I mean? Putting it into the legalities of the world systems shifted something as well.
Totally. That's facing all those systems and like you defining your reality, how you are named.
Yes.
Because remember that we are vibration with the same principle. You are vibrate, like that vibration. Your name is being broadcasted to you. When people call you, your vibration hits on your body.
Yes.
So that's also a matter of resonance. If you correspond that resonance and you keep acting the projections of what they call you through that vibration, as you were disengaging or detaching of, wait, she's not calling me. As well as me, it's like Santi. It's like Santi, or like the nicknames of high school. It's like, I don't even answer. And you have to deactivate the parts that were answering to that, because you will still feed that little guy that they want to keep you little, you know, Santi, little Santi. No, I have grown up.
And it's also the release of, I mean, not in your case necessarily because it was your given name, it's just you were taking the full name. I had considered taking Elizabeth, which was my first name, but it didn't resonate. But it's really, especially getting rid of my last name, shifting my last name to this new name, was a release of both my maternal lineage of Elizabeth through all my grandmothers and my last name, Keenan, that was my paternal lineage. It was like, no more. Like, you know, I'm not carrying your karma anymore. I did it for 40 years and now I'm here, you know, and everyone can handle themselves from here on out, you know? So anyway, it feels really good. And when you started to break down the name and explain it to me, it all just, it was like deep remembrance over and over and over. So let's get to however you want to share this with us so that everyone else can start to understand their sounds and their names and how that works for them. And it's so powerful. It's so powerful. Yeah.
Yes. This is beautiful from where we start, you know, like when I incorporated this dynamic of checking the names for an Akashic opening, for example, we have to check the correspondence of the name. It's like has with a vibration. It's not that let's see. No, it has a vibration that has to match. So when I did yours, and it was like this, you talk with other parts of you, like it was like a galactic being, and it was like, okay, until this decants or this comes into the embodiment, of course, takes a time in these other layers or planes. So for the ones who are getting into this, don't feel like anxiety of just wanting to push it through or like to discover all now. That's why I want to bring this hint, or like this
gentle unfolding.
Yes, like look it more as a marble, you know, like with a curiosity. It's like I am detecting this, and every time you have a glimpse of awareness on the sounds that are being played and how they move you, or you move your reality with the sounds, that's already training the muscle of the sound mastering.
Yes.
That today we are working. Today we're working on the mastering the sounds of our universe, and for the sounds not to rule over us unconsciously. So this is one of the most powerful awarenesses that I have learned from the initiatic ways, and this requires as well the initiatic listening. It's not only to say the things that I want, but it's making the full feedback. It's like, okay, I say how I am named or how I'm calling things, and the feedback loop of listening. Mm-hmm. So it's a double device that we are going to have. It's like our capacity of communicating in and echoing with the reality.
Yeah.
So to start, it's nice to know that there are levels of manifestation of reality. There are three registries, and can be first the logoic, or like the symbolic, the logos as in a matter of word, light, meaning. So all the meaning of logos has this meaning, word, light, or idea as well. So when we detect the logos of a situation that is the most highest and most subtle realm to registry to read, you already have a big advantage. Then it can go into the imaginary registry, that is what we think that it is, like the picture, the mental picture that sound, that word, that narrative that is being told brings. And already we have emotions, we get some feeling into that image, that in the imaginary image, and then we have the reality. It's like, how do we see the real realm, like the one that we can perceive with the senses, interact according to this coherence between the registries.
Can you explain the logoic again? Logoic, is that what you called it? Yes. I don't fully understand that one.
Yes, logos comes from the meaning.
The logos.
Logos.
Okay.
Like at the beginning was the word, and technically it says the logos, not the word.
Yeah, yes.
It's a mistranslation that is like cutting much of the power of the word logos. And also it's like the beginning is the word and the meaning and the idea embedded with it. So it's like a vehicle of reality creation, of the most subtle. So from this realm, when we start decoding the deeper meaning, it's not just what they meant, because that can be in the imaginary, what they think that they mean.
Got it. Okay.
So it's how is really this sound making the reality vibrate? How is the whole weaving, the whole framework of the universe listening to this?
Is it the intention of the universe? Is it the intention of the logos, or like the universe? Is that what how it could be like likened? Is it the original intention of it? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, in part is the original intention, but not what usually it's deviated. It would be more like the intent, knowing what you mean, like at the same time knowing what you mean and intending that. Because you can intend very well, but then of course it can be deviated in the imaginary. I thought that I would help someone in this way, but then my imaginary was distorting the way.
I understand. Okay, got it.
So with that consideration, expanding the awareness of what is in the air, usually is in the air. We cannot see sometimes the sound, and especially in English, it's very tricky to start listening, because it's not the same what you read that what you say. As in Spanish. In Spanish, you just read the words, each letter, like most 99 has the same, as you see, you read it. So in English, there's a double work here, because that's the Tower of Babel, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say.
in here says Haley, no se say Hailey, you know, you read it differently, you know, like there are many now
So
that
many
I'm starting.
silent letters and rules that nobody knows unless you know them, you know? Yeah.
Exactly. So it's curious about too that you have the spelling conquest, you know, like the contest. You have like this kind of spelling. If you know the word, you spell it. In the US. I have not seen that anywhere else.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Of course. The spelling bees, you mean? Like, yeah.
yeah,
That's how amazing it is. We made a sport of it. It's so
yeah.
difficult to speak the language. Amazing.
And also, like if we know the magic that we have and how spelling, well, you cast a spell, right? We are creating magic in how we talk. So that's to polish the sounds we are creating and the meanings, sounds, meanings, and the effects. So let's bring it to us. Let's bring it to each of us. Well, there are, as well as there are three registries, there are three sounds that are ruling your life.
Mhm,
And as you were saying at the beginning, they're like syllabus,
mhm.
syllabus, you know? How do you find those? This is the homework. This is like the part you start uh, putting an overview on all the words that have been around your life and we have been ignoring it, thinking that's just the name of someone, just the name of a street, just the name of a month, just the name of a place, of a job. Everything has a vibration.
An addiction, you said to me once, an addiction, something you're compelled to.
Substance
So,
that there's matching. You have matching vibrations. The
yeah,
similar attracts the similar.
yeah.
So to put me in example, when I started like finding this, I said, okay, let's see. Usually it's in our name.
Mhm,
Your name already has, for sure, has one or two or the three of them
mhm,
because it's matching with it.
mhm,
So when I was hiding Rafael,
mhm.
everything that has Ra or R was blocked for me.
Ah.
It didn't have
Explain
much
how it
more
goes
power.
back and forth. Explain that quickly.
Yeah, this is mirror. Like as we read the conscious reads from
Forward and backward.
forward and backwards. Like all of these will have a different function, but you need to read it anyway. Like if it's R or Ra, it's there.
Yeah. So all the syllables, it's all two-letter syllables, correct? Or are they sometimes more?
Yeah,
Two.
usually it's two, or maybe if it's an H or
Yeah.
something like that, is to be considered.
But if it's
Or
RA, it'll be also AR. If it's LE, it'll be EL,
mhm.
LO. You know, I found many of them. This was a very fun exercise. This was
Oh,
so,
yeah. And when you start watching in the people around and which words they start choosing, even when we speak, there are
mhm,
words that will have more effect depending on who says them.
mhm,
So when you find these sounds, you are more capable to rule your reality through the sounds and them not ruling you. You don't say, for example, I don't say one of my powerful sounds is the
mhm,
in.
mhm.
So that's why I do initiations. I don't
Mhm.
do starting courses or beginners. We even has begin, yeah, in has it on the end. It's important as well where it is. If you want to close up something, if it's on the ending or in the initio or the beginning of the word. But anyway, you can start detecting where it is in which word. So
Mm.
you will realize that in the word choosing, it helps you better. And that also it has an effect on you when you are not using it or aware of it. You can be attracted, like there's one sound that will attract you, or you will use it to attract people. So it's like they have magnetism as the resonance. Also they have magnetism, the sounds. So to start,
can you go back to, and I feel like I interrupted you the last time because I feel like it was a really important thing. You were saying that you hadn't taken on Rafael, but that was also showing what in your world was not available to you, what you were hiding from yourself. I didn't register that in our first conversation. So I think that that's really worth just circling back to really quickly.
Totally, because that was one of the keys of finding a very important sound in my life. The opener sound that is called. Mm-hmm. The sound that will open the field of opportunities, that will open the doors. Mm-hmm. We talk that there's an attractor and there's an opener sound.
Okay. Attractor and an opener.
So when I started including the R or Ra, I started saying, okay, when this incarnation, I had opportunities to be born, Argentina. Mm-hmm. The street where I lived most of my life was Marcos Sastre, Casmar. Mm-hmm. So the persons who brought me into my life is Marcelo and Maria. So you start like watching all of this, the repetition that they are in the names of our parents, the street we have been born, the country, the addiction that the most I had was marijuana. Mm-hmm. So you start seeing that, okay, this started opening. Most of my girlfriends were Maria, Marina. They were like all with Mar, they had in there. So we were like opening fields and the sounds were playing on me, and I didn't realize that ex-girlfriends, parents, places, substances, activities, Akashic records are, it's in there.
How would you interpret that then? Because you have your parents and then you have the substance, you know what I mean? Like, not to call anything good or bad, because we don't believe in good and bad, right? Like, but if each of these sounds
who doesn't believe in good and bad?
Well,
I
think it's a limiting like way to look at it, because it's more like what is beneficial and weakening for you. I think is like a for you as an individual. I think that's a more interesting way of looking at it, right? It's like, okay, another.
I like to bring it, as you say, I like to bring it in the double edge.
Yeah.
So the tool is not bad itself, or like the word or the sound is not bad itself. It has this thing of, are you using it properly or is it using you? Yeah. So that will be the guideline of, if you're not using it and it's using you, I would say, it's bad. It's like, it's using you. And if you're using it, it's like good with the reference of the functionality.
So how did you define MAR for you, or RA or AR? Like, how did you translate that specifically?
Yeah, I started saying, okay, I will find the sounds or the most consistent. So I put a blank page and you write your full name and you start finding the syllables, sometimes that are like straight or or backwards. And also, this is important, this is a pro tip, you could say pro tip there. Sometimes it's linked. Santiago Rafael, for example, gorra is like when they jump in between, sometimes it's in there, the syllable.
Okay. Could it be the last letter and the first letter?
Yes.
Okay.
They can connect, and that can be one in there that you usually say, Santiago Rafael.
Yeah.
So it's like, when you say it, it has a continuity. So, but you cannot see it written. So that's why important the registries of how does it sound, how it's spelled.
Mm-hmm.
For example, one sound that doesn't and ever resounded with me is no.
Yeah.
No doesn't work with me.
Yeah.
It slips through.
Yeah.
So it's like when they say people that call me Santino, for example, they just wanted to be creative. I ignore them. It's like they they didn't have a meaning for me. Like they didn't or had my attention.
Mm-hmm.
And every time my parents said no, it was like total invisible for me. Any no. So that's very different from the enough. The enough, I realized it has an effect on me. In.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It has in there. So, and na, that is another powerful sound on me. It doesn't necessarily need to be three, but you need to see which are the three are the red, the yellow, and the green light. Let's first we need to find these three sounds: the red, the yellow, and the green light.
One thing that I did, because when I made my list, it was so extensive that I started to get a little overwhelmed in counting them. So what I did is at the bottom of the page, I wrote the syllables, the main ones that I was finding, and I was just putting, every time I found one, I would underline it and put a little check next to that sound. And then at the end, I tallied up which ones had the most. It was very obvious there were a few that had the most, right? My question for you is, how do you then distinguish what is a stop, a slow down, or a go? Because, for example, let's use marijuana. Mother and father, who, you know, they're your parents, we don't know what your relationship is. And then the marijuana, which was maybe like a substance issue for you. So like, that's why I was asking before, like, to me, that would be confusing. Because I'd say, well, oh, I don't know if I would call that a green or a red or a yellow or what.
Well, that's a good thing, and that's why I started the registries. You have to test them, test the functionality, put them into play, or see how they play out. To define now that you are listening, that you are more aware of them. Yeah. So put them into play. Okay, sometimes there come opportunities that you have like to buy or three products or three projects or relationships or like, and you will see, okay, who I am meeting. And also try to get the hidden things, because the hidden sounds are the ones who are ruling the most. What is hidden? The power of the occult. That's.
Where do we look for those?
Ask when you realize my grandmother was hiding one name, and then I found it. It's like, she got this name there. So it was like, no, like you find the second name of your mother that she doesn't use it, like can be ruling a lot. So those little things are not that little. And the functionality, the real realm, how it applies when you put it into play, you see, okay, these persons that have this kind of vibration that's not much for me, but you always can find a way around it. It's not that they limit you. The idea is to master reality independently of the sound. You just, this first exercise is mainly for which is resounding with us the most and moving us the most. So the first, I would do that, your full name, the name of your parents, grandparents, place you have lived, finding the similars, which has been the places or the family or relationships that open more opportunities. And it doesn't matter that it has been fully successful. Sometimes it's just an opener. The opportunity was there. How it played out, then you see which day, what happened. But the important thing is detecting them first. And then you will have, for example, when you have a no, it's like, I know when the universe is giving me this feedback, it's like a common code of, okay, this is no and this is yes, and this is check again.
Yeah, yeah. It's almost like a pendulum. It's like a pendulum in sounds. It's like yes, no, error, you know, or try again. Yeah.
That's
So
why we are oracling. This is the oracles. We learn to read the vibration, the light, the energy, the everything that is around and conforming matter.
yeah.
That's the training of the oracles. Yeah.
Well, and then it also helps when you're, for example, in my case, we were talking about me naming this new project, and it's like, then you know, you can go to your sounds that are very powerful for you, and that will be an opener, you know, or so you said attractor, opener, and then what would the third one be called?
The repellent.
The repellent. Okay, and the opener is the green light, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The repellent is, if we're looking at a traffic light, we're in America, we're going red. Repellent is the red, right?
Yeah. So if we have to put it, yes.
Okay.
And
Well, I'm a color
remembering,
person.
yes, remembering who is using it, the light, because if it's a red light for you or you are repelling, sometimes you don't want to. You don't want to allow things in your life, and you need to use that in your favor.
Beautiful. It's so amazing. So look, what's so cool about this, and I know you probably have more to say on it, is that we've already, like, this is just finding the sounds. But then there's a whole other world of like what the sounds mean. And is that universal? Like, would you say that R, raw, or R usually means one thing, or is it very specific to so the interpretation can be specific to the individual, but does the sound itself carry a specific vibration that is either in alignment with you at that moment or not?
Yes. In fact, that's linked to the logoic realm. So when you learn that sounds like vowels have are generators of energy. With vowels you create, and with the consonants you direct the sound. So that's why the syllables have a combination of both. It's an energy that you create directing it. This is very deep metaphysical, but very necessary as well. Yeah.
I just made a really cool correlation. So, I mean, I kind of knew it, but it just really, I was just shown how it connects. So, you know, the work that I do with Bonnie, the soul genesis stuff. One of her teachers was this man, Greg, and he taught her. So she ended up including it as a different, it's like a different teaching than the soul genesis, but she included it anyway in level 2. And it's a form of numerology, but it's based strictly on the resonance of the sounds. It's completely different than any numerology you'll ever find, and it's rooted in Tibetan mysticism, essentially, and the way that they calculated things. So just to bring it back to when I was naming myself, I found a woman who specialized in this form of what's called enerology. But yes, every sound, vowel is separated in this tradition. You separate the vowels from the consonants, and then you add them up using these specific numbers, and it tells you the soul level, the mental level, and the physical level with these equations. So every word is carrying the spirit imprint, the mental imprint, and then the physical imprint, and it's very, very, very specific. And when you align that to your timing cycle as an individual from the moment you came in, right, then you're bringing in total, just alignment and a lot more ease in the way you navigate this plane.
Yes. This is all the initiatic text and the ancestral cultures have it in there. This is also coming from the Tibetans, the Hebrews, Druids, This is common framework that has been distorted and like
Yes.
taken out from people, like thinking that when they take out the meaning, you know, of things, all the Babylonian network that we are navigating as well. So this is disrupting that when we start empowering ourselves from this primal substance that is the logos, the logoic power. That's the real first step for embodying divinity. It's not any imaginary concept with some attributes. That's already far. The mastering of the logoic and the sense making, the mastering of the word. Not even God could save that step. So this is the first step to really stand on the divinity, like communicating with the sound, and vibration.
I just got another thing as we were talking that I was going to ask you, do we think that certain words are being withheld by these Babylonian structures, right? It's because they hold so much power. And then I was thinking, even just the way we began this conversation before I started recording, is it's like these spiritual terms and concepts have been made almost to be, people just shut down, right? They shut down when they hear a very advanced spiritual term. People that aren't there yet, right? People that are not on a path, a conscious path yet. Were those words made to be, do you know what I'm saying? This division has been created, and even with spirituality, spiritual people have been made to be kind of like, oh, those hippy dippy people, I can't even understand what they're saying. But the words that we're using, I'm pretty sure hold a pretty high frequency, right? When you talk about alignment, frequency, astral plane, you know, all these things. I mean, I think these words are very powerful, but they're being kind of hidden from us. And then if not hidden, ridiculed.
And that's their loss, right? So I think that's like also a problem that is not new. It has like maybe hundreds of thousands of years, like in this humanity and other civilizations, that there are the levels of truth, you know. This also is Greek, that they were like looking for the truth and how to get out of the Plato's cave, you know. That's, as oracles as well, we work a lot on the different qualities and types of truth. So if they have the Mayavic shell, also if we go to the Buddhic, or they are in their own bubble, their Plato's cave, of course they cannot listen, because they're like surrounded by that is making them impermeable. But we can move all the realities independently if they're awake or not. This is common sense. This is common ground. There are people, I have not found anyone that cannot understand me.
I think
that's like when you master this, I'm saying not exactly that they say, oh, okay, yes, you're right, but it's like something has moved me. There's something here. That's what I mean. Like there's something here that you shake at least that first truth, that is the aletheia.
that is true. And I think that whether you understand it at the conscious level or not, you're right. People are picking it up because of the very topic of this conversation, which is that the sound in and of itself is carrying its own wisdom. So whether you string it together in a word just by the sound being spoken, it's like the right people find the resonance and then enter into the you know, the experience of it. Would you say that's correct?
Yeah, I would say that you impregnate, since they are in your presence and they're listening to you. You feed with vibration, you feed with meaning until they can sprout, or you move. So there are many functions with sound. They say like if you see like some alternative stories of the creation of the pyramids, there's this lineage of beings from other place, the hatters, that they were using sound to move up things and shape the stones, and we could move things just with sounds. It's like a technology, a spiritual and energetic technology, learning to master this. So yes, imagine how much we can change someone with just a message. How many times we have just seen a movie or like listened to some idea, and it's like, or a speech that has a vibration and has changed our perception.
Absolutely. What do you think? I want to ask you this question. What do you think are there new sounds coming? Like with all these updates, with all these upgrades that I feel like we're experiencing on Earth, what is the future of sound? Like specifically, I think the way it's spoken, right? I mean, I know that we can find different pitches and frequencies and machines, but like, you know, dogs can hear things that we can't. Maybe at our heightened state, we'll be able to hear those sounds as well in our hearing. But how do you think that applies to humanity and the way we communicate?
You just said it. I was listening of the difference of between hearing and listening. Maybe we can hear it, but still we need to really listen to what is there already. Yeah. So I think that the deeper listening, the more interweave listening of what our spectrum of hearing can do, and also that we amplify the spectrum of hearing, even energetic frequencies. Well, you know, when we are channeling, that you feel like different energies that you can like also decode, or in a way hear with your senses. So I think that is the capacity of comprehension of those, like deeper listening of what is being said. Yeah. The connection with the meaning and the logos. It's what we are. Where there's the key for the divinity there. So it's not like waiting for more frequencies to come. It's like just learn to use the ones that we have that are powerful, right?
What would you say is the best way to start to understand? I mean, I've recently been looking into Latin. I don't know how much time we have left. I mean, I think we're almost at like 50 minutes or something, but we'll close it up soon. I don't know if there's more. I don't want to interrupt, but
yeah, I think in 10 minutes we're okay. Yes.
Wait, I just lost my train of thought because I went off on this other thing.
You were studying Latin.
Yes. So I have been trying to, per your consideration, a few other people rename something. So I've been looking at Latin translations and trying to understand the root of it. But I don't necessarily think that even understanding the roots, while those are important, and I'm going to research this more, Greek, Latin, Hebrew, right? I want to get some dictionaries and start to like understand it better. But would you say that those are the closest to defining what those different sounds and syllables actually mean, or have they been distorted as well?
Yeah, usually it's lost in the imaginary as well, and also imagine how the historians have been cutting out the story, right? But what is important is not to discard it, consider it, because it's in the collective mythology. And then when we start tuning into the mythology, we can see which narrative is being played out in our name as well. In the full name as is has a mythology. So when you look from what is this name, and it's like, okay, there were like the apostles that were Santiago. There was one higher and lower. So when I'm playing each of those, because the vibration will want to go into play into some story, have some roles. So then who's Rafael? Okay, this is Archangel, and what else? You know, like you start diving more into the mythology of it, and that's very useful. The Greek mythology, the Olympians, the Romans, the even the modern mythology. When I said, okay, Santiago is also from the alchemist.
Mm-hmm.
Santiago, the
Mm-hmm.
who shares the trip of the alchemy, and it's like that's the mythology. So you choose it willingly,
Mm-hmm.
and the name does not go out to play any other mythology that you may unaware of.
Mm-hmm.
Make sense? So
Yeah.
that's with the mythologies as well, that is useful to consider them and to know the etymology, but also knowing that from a more subtle place, you can just go into the very simple. I was talking with a druid that he was studying the quantum Kabbalah. It's like, okay, quantum Kabbalah, okay. And he was saying this same thing, just that they make them put attention in the vowel, the vocal that you're using. So if the first vocal of your name is A is going to be more powerful for you as a sound, and you check it. You go and test it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then the things around you direct it. It's like, okay, Ra is as well the god of the sun, you know, and all the Greek mythology, and you can start diving into that, and you choosing consciously what you take in, and that's how you start mastering your reality, because you have used your intelligence to choose these lines that you now have expanded capacity of reading and listening. And that's what we train a lot in the heroic assessments, because there's always a script. There's always a script being played out. So you can see where's the stage of the psyche of a situation just by listening properly. And you can activate that place and move it to another quadrant, and not being the ego doing the drama plays and making us waste so much time with things that are you know, out of our control, or we think that it's like, oh, this person now starts feeling like saying that. It's no, there's something there that we are not listening. So this is much more fun to live the reality when we can play with the sounds. That's why I propose this first step of, hey, let's see which are my sounds. When I listen to them, which I respond or not. Which persons I don't like, or like I feel a repellence, or how they call me, or what nickname they want to put me, and it didn't work, that nickname. And you see, for example, if I had a nickname, they want, because I was tall and big and the biggest of the course, they were calling me the little one. And it was like, okay, they wanted to diminish me, but you see the projections of the people.
Yes.
They wanted to, it's just having fun. But I had to be like 3 years with that nickname, and it makes you polarize as well. So it's like there are many more dynamics with sounds and the laws of the universe, but the important thing is, okay, what happened when they were calling me like this? Mm-hmm. So it's like Santi. It's like, yeah, it also goes into your head. It's like, okay, when I was small and I wanted to be held by something bigger. No, it's like, now it's like I'm Santiago Rafael, and it's like I am my own parent, you know? So that is a beautiful awareness to have.
This is really, really powerful. And having just started the process just a few weeks ago when we had that conversation, I think my takeaway from today is really to like listen even more, you know, like, and you know, we're told often to really use our words wisely. And so between the listening, the output and the input, you know, and then just listening to the universe, I feel like in the life around us, just what is trying to come through. I think just by the very act of contemplating, saying, I'm so curious, life, universe, what are my sounds? Start to show them to me. Let me hear them, you know, and then really just being intentional, I think is going to change a lot. It's something that most people, at least that I know, are not really aware of yet. So this is really exciting. Really, really exciting.
Yes, yes, and fun and empowering. It's
Yeah.
fun and empowering. It's like when you start understanding the play of the universe, it's like you're starting to play at another league with the universe, because you're talking the same level, the vibration, the sounds, the energy levels, and it's easier, you know. We don't miss signs or fall into accidents because of like the deafness.
Yeah. I'm so grateful that you said yes to doing this. And I can't wait to share it. I know that this is a big one. This is something very big. I'm again very grateful for your time and your wisdom and your essence and your light. It's just coming off of you. Like I'm looking at your skin and I'm in the dark as I have no light here, and I'm looking at this radiant being on my computer screen. I love it. Thank you again for doing this.
Lights, you can get a light.
I know. I just need to turn my computer like this.
Yeah. This is an honor to be sharing this wisdom, because it's very powerful, and I believe that with more aware and conscious persons playing the game of the universe, you know, more consciously, and not generating mess or noise, everything would be more harmonious and magical, because we would be embodying the divinity we are for creating magical realities. So
Absolutely.
I'm totally in for it, and that's why the training we do is like the hero and the magician at the same time, because the hero goes to do quests that are beyond what we believe that are our capacities. What is required to go beyond the human capacities is magic, and in between, it's not the end itself, but in between the human and where we're going is this magic that will allow us to get into the divinity. So there's a nugget of magic, a nugget of magic for today.
Where can people find your works? Where's the best place?
I am doing at lafam.org. There's the first page I'm doing. La Fam as La Familia, the Soul Family, lafam.org, or Santiago Rafael in YouTube, as long as YouTube allows me to be.
Exactly. That struggle is unfortunately very real these days, but it's a matter of time.
And the wisdom on the wordings that we use is aware of how we are saying things to make them go through. It's a big challenge that we're having. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Listening to some of my favorite people on YouTube, it's almost challenging, because they say, I'm going to say this and I'm probably going to get taken down for it, but I'm going to say it anyway, or I'm going to just say a letter and hope you understand what I mean. Oh, wild ride. I actually think it's quite fun. It's just a new game that we get to play. How do we still get the truth out? Right?
Yes, improving our capacities of listening and coding and decoding the messages. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I love you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Aitza, and we are connected. Thank you, everybody, for being present and taking in and doing the work of decoding the sounds of your universe. Thank you.
Goodbye, everybody. Whoever comes in the future timeline. Bye. I'm going to stop just 1 second.